Hey there folks, and welcome to the next 650 pp tryouts of Gran Turismo 7. In this 650 pp tryouts, I am doing the Ford Sierra RS 500 Cosworth 1987. So here's the parts for the Ford Sierra RS, which not going to be surprised, there's going to be a lot of parts you can add to this car, because this car is a DTM homologation car. But the Sierra RS 500 touring car that was done by Cosworth. So in other words, a Ford Germany car, just so to say. It's the engine of an inline 4, a very fast inline 4 too. It's an inline 413 horsepower on top of it, and such. Now, don't know much about the motor at the end of the day, but it's a motor. It's YBD Sierra. It sits on it, so assuming that's pretty good, it's probably pretty good for the most part. I will say this car also goes by another name, although I will say technically different parts, which is the Merker too. So if you've seen a Merker, that's actually also a Ford Sierra too. But I can't say technically all that, but it's like somewhat that. As some Merker was the Germany division of Ford that failed. If you so happen to see that car, well, that's another way to see it. So by body wise, they share the same. Yeah, that's basically all the parts to show at the end of it, which, yeah, a ton of parts. Which this can have a wide body and an engine swap. And your breakers, what engine swap? It can have the Ford Focus Grade B rally car motor, so that's really good. So in case you want that crazy fuel mileage gain and basically higher acceleration, probably speed and stuff, because I will say probably the one lackluster thing about this motor is kind of, I want to say loose. It's a very loose motor at the end of it. Yeah, here's the tires it has on, which is 15 inches. Put the standard size, or wide offset or everything else you do with customs and such. Okay, here's the front lip, and on the side you just take off the thing, which I did for this case. Still leaves behind a groove though, I will mention, but it is what it is. You also have a rear skirt, and you can also have a different kind of the same spoiler. It has that crazy spoiler at the end of it, but you can have it with that one if you want. But it takes the notch off, so therefore I probably keep it on the regular. And I will say the regular is good anyways because it's adjustable to begin with. Because I will say this is one of those cars that has an adjustable spoiler. Now for the roll cage, one with the Type A, because it is a club cab, or crew cab, I should say. Headlights went with the yellow, give it a little bit of sunny flare to it, even though I did like a winter decoration style to this one. So I think I did this around Christmas, and I've been retraining it since then. Yeah, I will say this looks a lot different than what it was, considering I also even added more to it just to say. So I think I'm forgetting to put, I think I forgot to put the Recaro thing. Whoops. Oh well. And then calipers went with the gold. Go with some of that yellow going on there. Now for this setup, I went a little high on the body height adjustment. And then natural frequency went a little bit higher there, I think I did. Looks the part. I should have changed the differential a bit more, but it is what it is. Spoiler, of course, you want the rear to stick out pretty good, while the front is what it is. Ballast of 95, power restrict 97, the tranny to 300, auto, medium RPM turbocharger. No way, because apparently it doesn't want it. So yeah, you don't have to buy that if you don't need it. And rate reduction just one. It's just one stage of rate reduction it'll take. Will it take more? Probably, but you know, it is what it is. That's basically the setup for the Ford Cosworth at 132.954 on D4s. Can I go faster than that? We shall see. So, yeah, just recapping just in case. That way everyone can see so we don't have to pause. Because I will say, I will try to see if I don't get people having to pause stuff at the end of the day. And then here is the vinyl, in case anyone wants the vinyl, because I did retrain one. Because I did had a OG vinyl of this, but I took it off because I didn't think it was that good enough. So I add a bit more spice to it, and here we're off to the races. The Ford Sierra RS 500, in terms of my view, is a fun car. It's like, I would say it's like a close fave in terms of FR cars, in terms of drive to me, but I still have my issues with it at the end of the day, because it's a very insensitive car, you see. Like a very narrow DTM car. It likes to play loose, and it also, steering is just not a great maneuverability at the end of the day, so as a result you got a car here that's just weird. And remind you, this got banned by DTM because of its usage of turbo, because this car was technically broken. And that way, I will say, when this car left, the Alfa Romeo 155 came in, so something to note on that. Because that's when they also decided to add new rules to where you don't have to follow production regulations and stuff. So Alfa Romeo took that as a sign and made their 155 the all-wheel drive, as it is. But I will say the 155 wasn't an all-wheel drive; it was FF at first. Very terrible FF, apparently. But Ford Sierra, yeah, since DTM banned, Ford just has a nasty relationship with DTM nowadays. At the end of the day, you know, they have fully changed and they now add turbochargers. At the end of the day, I would love to see Ford come back into DTM just to see what crazy sedan they could make nowadays, but it is what it is, and this is what we got. I will note there's another Cosworth besides the Sierra here, which is the Escort. I will say that's the other one, but that one came with all-wheel drive and it's made in mind for rally. This one was made in mind for a touring car. Yeah, at the end of the day, the Sierra is not a bad car, and you know, Cosworth had to go somewhere else next, which I think was next was that Escort, and then, or I think the Escort as far as Escape, technically. No, I think it's Escort. And then the Ford Focus. And then after Ford Focus, I technically don't know what else besides them making the Mustang Mach 3 or whatever it's called. Mach-E. Yeah, the Mustang Mach-E is what replaced the Ford Focus afterwards. As they went to full electric. That feels like a bad idea in case of itself, but we'll see here. They're trying to make a 30 grand electric pickup truck at the end of it. But to say the Ford Sierra is definitely one of the fun cars at the end of the day. So I think you take this in the rally dirt too. So if you want an FR dirt rally car, there's this too. I don't know what's the craziest at the end of the day. I need to like make a Tryouts dedicated to dirt rally stuff. I just don't know what kind of power supply I want at the end of the day. Could do a grade B style on that, but I'm not sure. But as of now, the Sierra RS is definitely a fun car. But yeah, as of its times here, it looks pretty good. 113.9 I'm seeing here. So let's see what else times we got here to go up against. Yeah, 113.946. So it's a tad bit quicker, but let's see if we can go quicker than that. Alright, so let's see the times here, wherever they're at, because I use some fun about this. So 113 138.9 right now. It sits just after the A110, but before the Mazda Miata. The Mazda Miata has a 113.5. This needs to beat the Miata by 4 or 5 more. So, if it can. So let's see if it can, and this turns to the best lap. Such. Which, as the saying goes, my biggest problem about the Ford Sierra is its insensitivity. So, you know, be surprised if it does a lot better or not. That's what it does. I know. Overall, looking at the decal, which yeah, I will say this is also technically before decal because I did the decal afterwards, just to say. Or I just added a tad bit more, because it does have the Texaco on the back, for example. But let's see if it can perform a better time here. 111, 112, 113. Oh, no. 113.7. Sits between the Miata and the A110 at 13th place. Now into Deep Forest Raceway, which is the most balanced I could find in terms of performance when it comes to these cars. Besides the technically it's a bit more top speed, just a tad, but not a whole lot. It's a short top speed track at the end of it, which is kind of perfect for balance too. So let's see about its maneuverability, if it can really sing around the track turns or not. Sing to the swing, so can you swing it? See about that. So just going through the forest chute here, now into the big old tunnel straight away down here. You grab about 120 right here miles per hour, and it's pretty quick. Because yeah, I would say on top speed wise, it's, I want to say about like 195. I think it's pretty good on that part. It's a pretty quick car for what it is for 400, and in fact it should be in the first place, because it doesn't really, its aerodynamics doesn't really hold it back, luckily, so that's a good part turned off of it. It's a pretty quick car as a result. Which makes you wonder, does it do 2 laps or 3 laps? I'll just say this in advance, technically 3 laps. The only problem is I might have been a tad bit more on the horsepower part, that it's just a tad over, so at the end of the day you need to do a lean 2 to it, so someone mentioned. But overall it does pretty good for a job. If there's like one issue I have with the Ford Sierra is that it just gets very out of whack over time, which this is probably just more of a matter of the LSD at the end of the day. I probably should tweak that just a bit more. But sometimes you gotta be kind of wary of touching a lot of tuning sometimes, because it'll just hamper your time and performance at the end of the day, which is something you want to not go crazy on. It's like sometimes when you tune up a car, you're gonna have to deal with it. You just got to deal with the undermine of the car if you want to keep those fast times. If you don't want to keep those fast times and keep control, you could technically do that. But yeah, just a matter of challenge, and this is a challenge that every race car deals with at the end of the day. Is that, do you want a faster time or do you want more control? As the saying goes. Alright, now going down to the roller coaster lane. God, this feels like a roller coaster. It's actually good to really test your car's suspension at the end of the day, if it can, you know, keep traveling or goes up and down. So a lot of old cars have a lot of problems like that. This is not one of them, luckily. Now BMW M3 does. Specifically the A46 for some reason. Now onto the best lap, which is right now 132.768. Let's see what we got here for Deep Forest, where you sit at. Oh yeah, I was wrong about the Ford Sierra being 13th place, it's 11th place. But for Deep Forest, though, where it sits is at between the XNR Gia Roadster, or wait no, I ain't that. Oh, it sits between the A110 and the Mazda Miata. I see a train going on here. I know this thing gonna do much faster than that. Shall see. But it goes there straight away here, and right now on the times it's 0.310, which I will say, sometimes you can rely on that, sometimes it's glitchy. So beware of ever trying to rely on the splits, because the splits ain't as true as it seems. But onto the corner here, down to the roller coaster lane. We hit the higher mark here, 150, 160 here. At 131, 132.367, that jumps it up to about, let's see, where does it say, 7th place so far. Not bad at all. So now onto the top speed. Can it really muster that top speed at all throughout Mount Panorama? So that survey says somewhat. I'm gonna say somewhat of that, because I will say I might be wrong about the whole 195. It might be just a tad less of that. But it's like closer there, I would think. Such. Let's see if we can really undermine that performance at the end there. As it goes up the big old Mount Path, I would say. But yeah, I will say, out of all the cars, when it comes to GT7, I am so happy they added the Sierra and the Escort, because we need more, I want to say sedans, coupes of America, because I am so sick of muscle cars, I will say. I think there needs to be more, more of the American line at the end of it, because we're not just about muscle cars, and we're not just about sports cars either. Although, we'll say, you add more sports cars though. We have street trucks, considering like the Maverick Lobo that happened recently, or speaking of street trucks, we have a Dodge Ram with a SRT10 motor, which is essentially the Viper's motor, and they could add that. There's a lot of street trucks they could turn around and add at the end of the day, and they just so happen to have it. Like, here's a famous one, the GMC Cyclone. Add that. Add what was considered the supercar killer, because that's what it was. And man, did it show. It's the one car to add from GMC, to be honest. There was also the other one too, I believe it's called the GMC Typhoon, I believe. That was another crazy street truck. Because yeah, we have some special American cars that they need to add like big time. Like I said, besides the Ford Sierra here, the Ford Sierra is a first hallmark to add, and probably a good hallmark to add because it is also one of the representations of GTM. The other one I could think of is the Ford Escape, I believe. It's like Ford Escape, and there's like some other ones. Heck, we have Australia's Ford with the Falcon. They need to add the Falcon. That is technically a muscle car, I will say, and that was technically started the whole V8 supercar fest they do over there. They're what Taylor's doing. Taylor's putting a V8 in the Supra. So, yeah. As a recap. But, you say though, we have a bunch of American cars. They need to turn around and add it again, though. Considering, like, reminder, the DeLorean, and they're gonna apparently add the Series 1 here eventually. But I do hope for, like, more interesting American cars. Heck, add a minivan. Let's add the freaking Dodge Caravan, for God's sakes. One of the first minivans, period, and start, too. Add some of those, Add a station wagon. Add the Big Burly. So, which is like a Ford Country wagon or something like that. Add a Woody. Add the Ford Woody. Heck, add a bunch of classic 50s Ford cars too, like the V8 Coupe. Or, you want to go really ridiculous, the Ford Model A. I wouldn't say the Model 2, because the Model 2 might have a lot of problems, but here's what it is. Unless you really want to touch, like, really old slow stuff. I mean, it's fine, but it's just, you know, it's just up to them at the end of the day. I mean, I can't say if a Model 2 is that much slower than 500 Fiat, but you know, I just hope for like stuff like that instead of like, you know, the new cuisine out there. Because anymore, it's just more unoppressed day by day, I guess. Considering what they just recently did to the Honda, what Honda did to the Preload, which, why is it another Civic at the end of the day? Just lack of effort and cost, I guess, on that matter. Oh, and besides making a hybrid, but yeah. So now on to the best lap for this, which the best lap for this was very tough. Like I said, very tough to pull because I will say I had to retake this technically twice, but I did like up to an additional 5 laps because this car was super stubborn and kept wanting to hit the walls at the end of the day. Because this is where the sensitivity really shines on this car, because this car is a very narrow-headed when it comes to steering and stuff. It will pitch more than it should. Or no, I wouldn't say pitch more, I should pitch less than it should. So it'll technically oversteer. Which is weird because I wouldn't think it would, but it does anyway. So my only way to like technically probably fix that would probably be probably make it more weight in the back is all I can think of. Like either more weight in the back or more weight in the front. It's one of the two. I'm not very professional about that. But as of where it stands for 214 though, it sits between the Mazda Miata RX and the Kia Roadster. So it's got a gap sooner or later, and this is the lap to do it, because I'm just gonna say it's a big difference of a lap here, because I'm kinda shocked I even pulled this. Here we go, as we go down the straightaway here. Do the shoot across. Hopefully brake enough, because I will say this car also has a habit of over braking or under braking, so it feels like I need to add more sensitivity or not. I'm not really sure what's the best way to go about on that. And we could really figure that out. And here we go to the last turn. Well, yeah, make sure to stay wide when it comes to these turns to get the most out of it. 213.02A, a whole second dropped because it finally settled and gave me a good lap at the end of the day. Sitting at 8th place between the 308 GTB Ferrari and the Mini Cooper FK. Which the FK is basically a Mini Cooper with a Honda motor. So here's all the events it can do and such, which is the Sunday Cups. Sunday Cup Classic. So yeah, overall I have to say this year I did pretty good for laps and stuff. Trying to figure out what else. Because here's the thing, this is technically Germany made, but it doesn't count German. I feel like some cars should have like a semblance relationship of what it counts on, but you know, that's just me. But on American cars, or specifically the American Sunday Cups, you can do that, you can do that, you can do Clubman Cup 700 too on top of it. You can basically do all the American stuff, because there's no all-wheel drive American yet. Or FFs, which is weird. But then again, that's not our specialty. FS is one not good to begin with, and we also have a hate crime against it, so you know, it is what it is. Even though like majority of American cars are FS nowadays. World Touring Cars 700. And I'm trying to figure out what else. Oh yeah, I can do the hypercar parade somewhat. Besides, unless you see that Valkyrie. You see that Valkyrie? No. No. Historic. You can do historic because this pass is ordered in 1989. Now for tournaments, you can do the high speed track day and the Tokyo parade. And that might be the first time I said that right. Trail Mountain Cup, Pan America Championship, World Touring Car 700 tournament, and that's basically about it. Now on to the race. Now, what to say about the Ford Sierra RS 500 about its endurance side? In terms of rank, if I had to say where it sits at, it's kind of weird. I would say a low B because it basically can do it. The problem is I had a very bad situation about this race at the end of the day. It won't happen until later on though here, but let's just say it rained, or it was like a messy weather at the end of the day. It's like it rained and then it stopped and it like kind of did it again a little bit. It's frustrating. This was a very frustrating race this time around, but I would say a low B for this one. I won't say a high B because it kind of sits between the margin of basic can and can be. Because it can do it at the end of the day, and also it can do it pretty well. So it can do about 3 laps as long as you put lean 2 on top of it. Because it's just a bit tad over, it's not a whole lot. So I was a bit off scale about the fuel mapping on this one. Then again, I think I really just turned around, just took this car and just, did it at the end of the day. I will say I still technically did tuning, but this is like older tuning. I should have been a bit more about this at the end of the day, but it is what it is. So I might be not pulling the highest punch possible, potentially. Can't say if I am or not. I don't know, looking at the gauge inside the cabin here, I gotta say, it looks completely different than a regular Ford than I remember. If there's one thing I'm noticing that's definitely Ford, it's the air vents. Those are Ford vents. I've seen them. Or 90s Ford vents, I should say. But nowadays, Ford air vents are just the round circle things. And such. But yeah, this is what it was back then, where they look like little square grate vents. And the steering wheel, this looks very Germany made. It looks like a toy car. One. Yep, now basically, so this is second lap. I catch the majority of the people here. The real threat, though, I figured it was the Swift. No. The Viper was being a super threat on this one. Oh my god, was he being a threat. Even though I eventually passed him, it's just the problem came afterwards. What came afterwards was the worst. And I kind of realized this car really hates intermediate tires, so if there ever so happen to be rain, and the rain just suddenly stops, I hope you're ready to change your tires out, because you're gonna burn those tires like no tomorrow. But to say though, overall it just wasn't a bad race. It's just, good God, that Viper wanted to win at the end of the day. That I will say. We'll get to that when we get to that though. But overall, in terms of the Ford Sierra RS, technically a good car. It's just, I don't know. I did also have problems with this car beforehand too, because they had a DTM special event dedicated for it, and I gotta say the Sierra was so outclassed, like really bad for that event too. On top of it, and the worst part is they were using just, I don't know, maybe sports. No, they were using race car cars. I think they're bad. It's just the real threat though, and the real biggest problem about that DTM is that the DTM was based off a newer use of the DTM. So in other words, like right as soon as technically the Sierra left, because the 155 comes in, and the 155 is a monster, just to say, in comparison to the Sierra. It's night and day to the Sierra. If Ford was able to turn around and use the Escort for that, I could see one crazy competition happen, but it didn't happen at the end of the day. But the 155 is one the same boxing machine though, and kind of just decimates every potential the Sierra has. Well, being of course an all-wheel drive, because yeah, it's also an all-wheel drive. Not even an FR, it's an all-wheel drive. That one is. So yeah, there's even more advantage to it at the end of the day. But the Sierra RS is definitely one of the heritage DTMs at the end of the day. It's a fun car. If you drive it, it deserves its mark at the end of the day. It's just a shame though that DTM turnaround is wanted to be a dick and, you know, illegal turbochargers at the end of the day, when that clearly wasn't the problem. Whoever was making those rules was probably the problem at the end of the day. I'm just gonna say. And, you know, I understand why Ford left at the end of the day. Because they didn't want to deal with it. Whoever was being the problem there. Because, as the saying goes, yeah, you got the people who will vote for that, but you also have to hire people to deal with too. And they think their shit won't stink. You know, as the thing goes. Yeah, just look at the competition here. I'm basically going against the Viper, which this is. See, like at first I immediately would say a B. Like this is like basic. This is I'm just passing him on the last of the 3 laps. That's a crabble. Like I said, because this is where I say it's a B. If I didn't see this happen, then I would say differently. But it happened, so you know. I was also on lean 3, by the way, because I was I didn't really check which lean I should have been on. Lean 2 is the final answer, though, I will say. Got the Corvette, which, yeah, good luck catching me at this point. You already pitted. Yeah, that Corvette's weird. He shouldn't technically pit, but he pits anyways, half the time. And you got the other 2 real threats, which is the Lancer and the Hurricane. So this is the 2 that we get back in reserve up to 4 laps on this track. If the track so happens to not rain so much. If it rains, then they're not much of a threat. Oh wait, no, I take it back. They are a threat. But when it rains, then they somewhat aren't a threat. And I say somewhat because if they get very confused or not about putting tires on or not. That's like my situation here too. Because I do kind of debate what I did here. If I didn't do this, it probably would have been a challenge, but I made it therefore a challenge. But you'll see why. I just know when I did like a couple turns, the tires started burning up, and I had to make a choice. And boy, was that a tough challenge, or choice, at the end of it. It's bad enough, I don't want to talk about it, but I still want to keep talking about it at the end of it. I'm just so advanced about it. So apologies for talking in advance like that. But I just want to mention in advance though, I had one hell of a challenge up ahead here. And this proves why this year is a B to me. Because otherwise, because I will say, I think this was the worst case from my Le Mans experience, I will say. It's when this all happens. Because yeah, you see it's like it's cloudy, it's rainy, but it's like debating whether it wants to rain so much or not. And eventually, I'm just going to say advance, it will. Because like I said, I don't record the whole race, I just want to record what is kind of important to the race at the end of it. Got into the end point here for the first 2 laps. When I say first 2 laps, I mean technically like first mid laps. Or first far left laps, so it's like. Or first mid left laps. I don't know what's the best way to say that. But now on to the far right of the laps, which is basically now it has rained pretty good, and I'm on M tires right now. But watch as soon as the rain just chills at some point on that. Because I'm kind of surprised it burns that much, but it technically does. I don't know what to say at the end of it. Yeah, got the Viper, got the Swift. But yeah, in terms of, I guess, vlog saying, I could say at this point. So I have plans to do Spiral sometime soon here. I just gotta other things on mine that I gotta deal with too and such, personal life stuff, and you know, other sides of life, so such. But that's basically what saying much about the vlog side of life. But what's the other thing to say? But yeah, Spiral is coming eventually though, I will say. It's just taking me some good time because, you know, personal life stuff. Not such. And considering my recordings are going to be wacky throughout these coming weeks and so if I don't record more than 3 times, it is what it is. I hate to say that. Not going to be perfect about it. Because my goal when it comes to recording week is 5. At least 3. At least I want to record 3 instances, which the one instance is the weeklies. Second instance is any of the gameplays. And then the third instance is the tryouts. There might be a bonus one every now and then, and I kind of should do a bonus one to make up for. Because I already got the tryouts for 600, because I did the 600 in advance. Because I just realized, like, wait, I need to do 650. And this one is technically later than the one I did earlier, which the earlier one is the Mustang Grade 4. Cause yeah, fun fact, I'm doing Ford back to back. It's Ford week. Somewhat, you know, already passed, so have it. Yeah, so now to basically the final stretch here. This is where it gets kind of bad, I will say. Yeah, just showing the dashboard of all the cars and stuff. Yeah, the RCF does go 7 years. Okay. Cause yeah, there's a few grade 4 cars like those 7 years, which RCF is one. That's, you know, that might explain the fuel consumption. Cause I noticed when it's the 7-year ones, they consume a bit more, but I can't say that that's a foolproof fact. So that might be the case. I see a 7-year car and it still does, you know, just enough. What it needs to. Here's the 86 grade 4, which I'm still shocked they have a grade 4 of that. Because that's the most unique grade 4 out of the bunch, I gotta say, because it's a lot more higher power than a regular 86, I'll tell you that much. If anything, that's probably the fastest 86 right good. Now, what's through engine swap means? That's the one where you're getting a very fast 86. And then the disappointment is the TTQ Cup. I mean, it's like somewhat a disappointment and somewhat not, because it is a cup car. It's made for FF racing, cup racing, which is a sport down in here and such. But as an FF though, it's just kind of not that good. I mean, there's a reason why the TT2s have been splitting as all-wheel drives, and I think that might be the reason. So, it sounds like the FFs aren't that good. I hate to say that. Even though the OG TT car, I believe, was an FF, I thought. I still thought. Because I know a lot of games distribute the TT car as a FF. So now here comes the challenge part. Because I decided to go ahead and pit anyways because my tires were burned like pretty good and such. The problem, here comes the Viper. Because yeah, this guy has been chasing me throughout the whole time. He wants his victory. He wants it now. He's determined to get it. And such. So I basically have to beat him because he's gonna be crossing me. Which I swear to God, the pitting, I felt like the pitting took more time out of me than normally here, because it feels like I should have went in, switched my tires, and got out. It didn't want to do that at all. It wanted to hold me for a good second there. This good guy, like 15 seconds in, he's already up there. I gotta give chase now. It's like, oh crap. And I was gonna get like a quick sip of fuel for the Wing 1, but nah, I'm gonna have to deal with what I got at the end of the day, so. Here we go. This Ford Sierra versus the Viper Grade 4. Which one really wins this at the end of the day? Which is kind of funny because technically by performance they're kind of even at the end of the day. If anything, I'm just slightly faster. I just have crappier mobility though, or maneuverability though, which is going to be a huge problem during the last stretch here. Yeah, he's going to do everything in his power to be as quick as he can, because as the saying goes, when you're close to the top place AI, they start rubber banding and repellents. And when I say by repellents, I mean as in, oh look, I can do 168 on that straight now. It's like they fake. They fake so bad. And now he's gonna do. Well, he does like a 164 on this next straight here, because technically this straight is shorter than the first straight. And such. But yeah, I have to basically give chase to him and hopefully get there as quick as I can. Yeah, the other competition, not worry about, but I might as well just quick check him. At this point. I'm just surprised how well this Viper is being competitive this time around. I was like, holy crap, he's actually being very competitive. He's not messing around. I have to beat him. Which is shocking, because usually that ain't the case. Because usually every time, like, I would say around 32 minutes or 33 minutes, I'm usually like weeks up in advance because they're too confused of what tires to put on at the end of the day. No, he's just going strong with those M tires. And again, Grey 4s are really great at tire wear and such. Just a matter of getting to them at the end of the day. And then, you know, deal with maneuverability and the stop and go process. Because, reminder, it's still kind of wet. Because I basically slapped on racing hard tires and just hope for the best. Because M tires were just not going to cut it. I mean, I don't know, I kind of debate. It's like, on one end, maybe if I did drive with the M tires, it might have been fine, but I just noticed as soon as I got to that lap point, there was like a third in of the burn, and that burn was quick. So I just kind of debated, it's like, should I went with M tires at the end of the day and just go full bald by this near point, or, you know, it's just a matter of choice, and this is the choice you have to deal with when it comes to racing in general. And a full way to, or full instructed way to show it. You know, this is like most other most sports case like NASCAR, you know, or whatnot. But yeah. Now, speaking of America, how about that? Green Tressa, how about some stock cars? You don't have to license. You don't have to get licensed stock cars. Just get us the stock cars. Because you're making four-wheel cars, it'll be nice for stock cars. And when I say Formula cars, I mean they're like somewhat fake Formula cars, but they're Formula cars. You know, the latter, basically. So I'm just inching close to him. It's like I can get him. However, he brake checked me here. It's like, oh crap. And you know, this car's stability. If this car doesn't like, you know, grabbing hard, so I had to get him sub point here. So I just made the move right here. Because if you don't make that move, he basically got you. So you know what? You brake checked me, I brake checked you, dick. So he was off to victory. And thus, I basically win. So that basically ends that for this tryouts. At the end of the day, yeah, I say give it a rank B. A low B though. So here's the next car for the next teaser. I'll see you guys all next time. You guys take care and ciao. Enjoy. I hope you enjoy what you watch. Thank you for watching.